on last week Wednesday. We started out by writing ratios. Writing ratios is simply taking the scenario or the situation and setting up the ratios based off of what they gave you in the problem. So that's setting up a ratio. A rate is when you're comparing things with two different units, and a unit rate is when the denominator is 1. We actually are going to use unit rates today when we figure out whether something is a best buy or what's giving you the best deal. I know Tyler said he loves doing those type of problems, so we got 2 examples coming up with that. And then the third thing that we did was solving a proportion. Solving proportions is nothing more than cost multiply. Nothing more than cost multiply. So we're going to do a few more examples of this now in the word problem format. So let's start with figuring out a best deal. Figuring out a best deal. So when you're figuring out whether something is a better deal, you're looking for how much does it cost to get one of that item. And of course, a better deal is what's costing you less money. What's costing you less money? So let's start with example 1. Example 1. Shark's Chicken has a deal on Mondays. 10 wings for $8.99. Meanwhile, Brown's Chicken has a similar deal. 15 wings for $12.99. Which restaurant has a better deal? Now, the only reason why I know these deals is because I get these deals just about every Monday. Why? Because I like chicken. So, which one of these is the better deal? So to figure out which one is the better deal, I need to figure out how much is it going to cost for me to get one wing. So let's start with Sharks. So Sharks is 10 wings for $8.99. So I want to know how much is it going to cost for me to get one wing. So $8.99 for 10. I want to know how much is it going to be for one. So if I want to figure out how much one wing is going to be, what do I need to do? What should I do if I want to find out how much one wing costs? So for Sharks, I'm going to divide by 10. $8.99 divided by 10. Let my calculator do some work. So that's 0.899 per wing. So it's about 90 cents. So I'm paying 90 cents to get a wing. But now I gotta do the same thing for Browns. $15 wings for $12.99. So I can do the exact same thing. $12.99 divided by 15 wings. that's 0.866 coin. So notice that although I'm paying more money at Brown's, I'm actually getting a better deal. So I'm paying less for a chicken wing. So my best deal is at Brown's. Best deal is at Brown's Chicken. Any questions on example one? Right, not seeing, not hearing any. Remember, closed mouths still don't get fed. Mr. Lowe can be upset and he'll still do his job. Just don't try to play him. Good guy. Example two. Same rule applies. You can buy 1 and 3 jars of peanut butter. A 12-ounce jar for $4.32, 18 ounces for $5.58, or 24 ounces for $7.92. Which one is the better deal? So it's just like example number one, except we have to do it for each one. So we have jar A, 12 ounces for $4.32. B, 18 ounces for $5.58. Hopefully we have our calculators out, ready to do this work. 24 ounces for $7.92. So let's figure it out. $4.32 over 12 ounces. So if I get jar A, how much am I paying per ounce?
36 cents.
That's 36 cents. So 36 cents per ounce. So that's the unit rate for jar A. Jar B, 5.58 over 18. How much am I paying for jar B?
31 cents.
That's 31 cents. And then jar C, you got 7.92 divided by 24. 33 cents. So in this case, jar B is the winner. You're paying the least. So jar B is the better deal. Now, for some of you, this might not necessarily hit home for real, until you start spending your own money. Now, you spend. Yes?
I said I don't already know that.
Yeah, some of y'all already know. Some of y'all already know this. But when you start spending your own money, you want to make sure that your money is being wisely spent. So, questions on 1 or 2 before we get into some more word problems. different type of ways to solve proportion. All right, example 3. A recipe calls for 3 cups of flour for 5 dozen cookies. How much flour is needed for 8 dozen cookies? So here we are solving a proportion. So we need to set up a proportion. So when you set up a proportion, the first fraction you can set up however you want. First fraction you can set up however you want. So a recipe calls for 3 cups of flour for 5 dozen cookies. So you can either put cups at the top and cookies at the bottom, or a dozen at the bottom, or you can write it the other way around. The first fraction you can set up however you want. But the second fraction has to match up with how you set up the first one. You have to be consistent. So you're going to put the cups at the top. Cups now has to forever stay at the top of the fraction. So if they're asking you how much flour is needed for 8 dozen cookies, that means 3 over 5 equals x over 8. If you put cups at the top, then the x is going at the top. If you put cups at the bottom, the x is going on the bottom. Do you have to set it up both ways? No. I'm just showing you both ways so that you can see what we're doing. That will give you the confidence in knowing that if you set it up backwards, you're not doing it wrong. You just have to make sure you're consistent. Any questions before we continue? Again, if you know you're a person that struggles, again, you have to own this now. I can't force you to do it. Just know that if you still have an F in December, you're repeating this class. Alright, so now that it's set up, we cross multiply. Cross multiplying is exactly what we did last week. 3 gets multiplied times 8. X gets multiplied times 5. So 3 times 8 equals 5 times x. 3 times 8 is 24. 5 times x is 5x. X equals 4.8 cups. Word problems, it's perfectly okay for you to give decimal answers. 100% okay. Questions on example 3? All right. Example 4. Example 4, same rules apply. A certain medication's dosage is 125 milligrams for every 50 pounds of body weight. How many milligrams of medication is needed for a person who weighs 180 pounds? So, somebody tell me how they want to set up the first fraction. First fraction, how do you want to set it up?
Like 125 over 50 LP.
That's fine. So again, the first fraction, you get the freedom of setting it up however you want. First fraction, you set up however you want. But now that means mg has to stay at the top and pounds have to stay at the bottom. How many milligrams, so that's x, because I don't know it, is needed for a person who weighs 180 pounds? There's your setup. Any questions before we continue? If not, then let's cross multiply. So 125 is multiplied times 180. X is multiplied times 50. And then from there, we let the calculator do some work. 125 times 180 is going to give you what? 22,500. Don't be over there laughing at me. I know I'm funny with it. Alright, so we got 22,500 equals 50x. What do we do to both sides? Divide by 50 drop out. So that means if you weigh 180 pounds, you're going to need 450 milligrams of this medicine. 450 milligrams of the medicine. Any questions 3 and 4 before we get ready to wrap this up? 5 and 6 I will complete before I upload the notes page to Google Classroom.